than that. In any event, we're going to find out more now about why Ms. May has taken the position she has from herself. She is sitting right here. Hello, Ms. May. It's good to see you. Thank you for making the time.
It's lovely to see you, Ms. Koppel, if you're going to be formal. But
No.
It's lovely to see you, and Elizabeth, but I know you're not allowed to do that.
No, that's okay. It's a sign of respect on my part. I have to start off, and I will ask this with respect, but I don't understand what you traded your vote for. Because what I heard from the Prime Minister there was just a general commitment to something his government is already legally bound to in the Paris targets. No specifics about how they will actually get there. What did you trade your vote for?
I've been negotiating with them since November 4th, to be clear, and I have from the beginning said that I found the budget, I still do, much of it completely unacceptable, but the worst part for me was there was no mention of the Paris Agreement at all. There was no commitment to reach our targets. There was no mention of the nature agenda. So what I negotiated, and it was, I have to say, with a lot of goodwill, with lots of different people in the mix, different ministers, the Prime Minister himself, people in the PMO, was to say to them, and I didn't really even put it as I would even vote yes, but I need to know, are we committed to the Paris Agreement? We skipped COP30, which made me very concerned. And on top of that, the budget, if anything, was doubling down on fossil fuels. So I needed to know, especially since I'd seen previous interviews where it looked like everybody was ducking committing to the Paris Agreement. Are we committed? I want to hear it. I want to hear a firm commitment from the Prime Minister's own lips. Yes, the Paris Agreement is a commitment of this government, and voting for this budget will mean, yes, we're going to not only respect the Paris Agreement commitments, we're going to achieve them. And nature agenda, and adaptation, and Indigenous reconciliation. In hearing those things, I felt I have a weight of responsibility to do the right thing here. And one way to help out the budget passing was not to vote at all. I didn't feel that that was really adequate to the moment. Canadians want to see leadership. I want, in a minority parliament, to be able to play a role in helping, through cooperation, get things done. I don't like a hyper-partisan parliament, and I sure don't like the idea that we would be. I was obviously moved by the fact that so many people contacted me, called my office from across the country, saying, please vote yes. I couldn't vote yes without a substantial commitment from the Prime Minister, and that's what I believe I got.
And I do understand that, but like, what is substantial about his commitment? And I ask because I think you would be the first, outside of this circumstance, to say words are not the same as actions. Prime Minister did not attend COP. They rolled back the consumer carbon tax. They intend to roll back the emissions cap. They have paused the EV mandate. They are the biggest champion at the moment, from a verbal perspective at least, of fossil fuel development. Like, what in that scenario adds up to actually doing what the Prime Minister told you today he would do?
Respect for the Prime Minister and his office, and respect for the idea that one who goes onto the floor of the House of Commons on a day as portentous as today, as historic as today, and says clearly, we will reach our targets, and they are a commitment of this government. I have to move.
Believe?
Yes, because I've never heard the Prime Minister say something that he didn't intend to deliver on, which is why it made me very nervous. He wouldn't say out loud, I'm committed to the Paris Agreement targets. Now I know that he has said so in a moment of consequence. I respect him. I've known him since he was governor of the Bank of Canada. I can't think that anyone would say about Mark Carney, the guy says one thing and does another. I've never heard that said about him. One can say many things about his previous background in finance and economics. I think we don't adequately respect the fact that he's new to Parliament. Working to develop consensus hasn't been something he's had to do in other jobs. This place is a minority parliament, and working to achieve consensus means goodwill on all sides, which means I extend my goodwill and trust to my Prime Minister right now.
Is that goodwill, and I have to ask this, I think on behalf of a lot of people who care a lot about the environment, who support you, like, is that goodwill about your own self-preservation from a political perspective?
Not a bit. I couldn't care less. All I care...
Really?
Yeah, really. Right now, if we went into an election, I have Green Party candidates across the country raring to go, and they wouldn't mind one bit. It's not about the politics, or I've never in my life decided how to vote on any issue based on political expediency. Never. And I'm not about to start now. I vote on the matter of my conscience and a sense, and a really strong sense of my responsibility to my constituents, but to Canadians from coast to coast, to actually deliver on something meaningful, to get a win out of the negotiations, to be able to say, yeah, now I know that the Prime Minister of Canada is committed to the Paris Agreement and to achieving those targets and to the nature agenda, and we're going to have to do it. And right now, the existing tools aren't going to be adequate. Clearly, we're going to need to see changes, policy changes, and direction.
You didn't, as a stipulation of your vote, pardon the interruption, get any of that specified. Like, did you adequately, on behalf of people who care about the things that they believe you're here to represent, get enough from the government in the way of more than just the goodwill you're willing to offer the Prime Minister? Like, did he get up there and say the climate plan will be introduced by the end of this year, that we will make sure that we make up for the loss of the consumer carbon? Like, he has not said any of that.
But we're in a minority parliament, and I'm going to stay fully engaged to help and make sure we do get those commitments. Let's face it, at 35 seconds of an answer from a Prime Minister that gets it on the record, we were running out of options for how to get things on the record. It was too late to introduce amendments on paper to the budget. We were pressed by a lot of circumstances, let's face it, of the Liberals' own making, but we were right up against a vote where I was still committed to a no vote unless I could get something meaningful for climate action. All I can say is people can judge by results. Supporters in the climate movement, God bless everybody who wants to keep, who will fight, because every fraction of a degree of global warming we avoid will save millions of lives. And Canadians right now have experienced loss of life, and we've experienced last year $8.5 billion of insurable losses. How it could possibly be that the budget was introduced in the first place without dealing with those issues. But now I know I have a commitment from the Prime Minister, and he has my commitment to work with him and make a minority parliament work until we have an election.
What do you say to Canadians, though, who look to you to help save those lives that you just spelled out were at risk? You have effectively made it easier for this government to stay in power. And again, all you have is a verbal commitment on the floor of the House and the Prime Minister. And all the evidence that led you to the moment where you felt that was necessary still exists.
That is all correct. I have to say that what I feel I've achieved through the negotiation process and being the only party that tried to negotiate improvements in the budget, I hope Canadians will remember that no matter what, I did my best to get the best result out of a bad situation. I still don't like the budget, obviously. I don't want to see more fossil fuel projects go ahead. But there are some really good national projects in the national interest, like the East-West, South-North electricity grid with 100% renewable energy, that could easily go into the major projects office. And it's referenced in the budget, but it doesn't say when they plan to deliver on it or how they'll deliver on it. So there are places of convergence we can put together. I see a pathway to these things being realized in the framework of actually shifting our economy. I would like to see more economic sovereignty for Canadians and less of a rip and ship out of the country economy. Those things to develop our economic sovereignty, which is what the Prime Minister wants, quite align with delivering on climate. The budget didn't deliver it for me until the Prime Minister expressed his commitment. And, you know,
did the Prime Minister or any of his delegates offer you anything specific in the way of advancement on the priority that you got him to talk about today? Like, for example, I've heard you many times talk about the idea of like a special group or cabinet group to deal with climate. Like, is any of that in the offering?
I will, as ever, be totally candid with you and say we didn't drill down to specific details. But I feel that there has been a development of both François-Philippe Champagne's answer on November 7th to say to me in the House, we are going to deliver on the nature agenda. I've heard more about when that funding might be coming, what might be in the offing. Obviously, I'm a Green Party MP. I don't speak for the Liberal government. But if there's not the degree of respect for this Parliament, if the Prime Minister stands up in the House on a budget vote day and says something he doesn't mean, I actually would be shocked. I expect that the importance of the day, the budget itself, the Prime Minister recognizing he's Prime Minister in a minority parliament, can't keep governing as though you have a majority in a minority parliament. I hope we've laid the groundwork for cooperative work in the coming months to make sure we can live up to his commitment that he just gave us to work to achieve those targets.
Okay, I'm going to leave it on that note. Ms. May, thanks for your time as always. I appreciate it. Elizabeth May is the leader of the Green Party. Just